So here's his FA Cup final medal.
The career achievements are unique,
And Sunderland have done it!
framed by a magical relationship with Wembley Stadium.
And Watson, the man who stopped Leeds United.
Dave Watson won 65 England caps and was an England ever-present for nearly 4 years. A revered centre-half, he was 39 when he retired.
Watson! He will enjoy that one!
Yeah, I could hit the ball, yeah.
He didn't sign professional form until he was 20. Before that, he was an electrician.
That's not you.
Allegedly, it is.
Where he was working at.
The strongest person to keep me going was my wife. She kept saying, you're not finished, and this and that, and in the end, you know, I think she's right.
In 2011, Dave began to suffer memory loss. After an Alzheimer's diagnosis, a scan 10 years ago revealed probable CTE.
This is going to be hot, so dip your bread in first.
A degenerative brain disease linked to repetitive or traumatic blows to the head.
He was fearless, and you didn't think he was ever going to get hurt badly, because he was so strong and gladiatorial even.
Corner from Barnes, and a beautiful header! Dave Watson!
Drifting in the air. And
You were very impressed by Watson. What would you think?
When the ball was high into the penalty area, this Watson, he always got the ball, head it out. And then when he headed it out, it always was for Sunderland.
yeah, Cruyff, yeah. Pretty good player as well.
It was mainly his memory and also change of personality. Dave's always been quite calm and mild and that, and frustration crept in, and also a bit of OCD and paranoia.
Footballers are 3.5 times more likely to develop dementia. The likelihood of getting Alzheimer's disease in one study was 5 times higher. There is an increased likelihood of you suffering a brain disease if you have been a footballer or if you've headed the ball.
The family of World Cup winner Nobby Stiles are part of a group taking the FA and several governing bodies to the High Court, alleging negligence. The Watson family are funding a claim for industrial injury to set a legal precedent and improve financial support.
Scans have shown things that can only be caused by trauma, and he was never in any kind of an accident. It has definitely, I would say, been caused by playing football. Now, they can't definitively say it's CTE. At the moment, it has to be done post-mortem.
The governing bodies want to have it proven beyond doubt that there is a link here. At the moment, we can show that heading can cause deterioration on brain functions, but they want to show that that then results in the brain diseases before they will admit any kind of liability.
Welcome back. Cheers.
Do you blame football?
No, I don't blame football, and he doesn't either. Because back in those days when he was playing, nobody had that knowledge.
You wouldn't go on the pitch if you're not tough.
This is a stitch over the left eye of Dave Watson. Dave, how did it happen?
It was the back of Alan Gallen's head, actually.
Painful, David?
No, not really. I've had some local.
Anaesthetics?
Yes.
Not the way we do it.
Nothing can stop the joy of winning a cup with us
No,
again.
that's
Okay,
it.
would you cut that?
Tremendously.
The short-term memory is absolutely gone. It's very hard because you end up losing your best friend. I hope it's nice when we go to Wembley. People meeting him now don't really know Dave.
When?
Because that's not my Dave that I live with. It's heartbreaking.
The impact on families is awful. The wives, the partners. This goes so much broader than just the athlete. This is a public health crisis.
Has football done all that it could have done for Dave since his diagnosis?
Oh, no. But in the last 4 years, there's been much better help.
A brain health department has been established by the PFA. In May, the FA banned heading in youth football up to under 11. And it's players' future health that Penny and Dave Watson want to protect.
The boss says if we play like that defensively, I'll play till I'm 50, but I hope he didn't really mean it.
If he'd have known at 30 that there was going to be a likelihood, because things were starting to show, he would have stopped then. What I would like to see is at the beginning of each season for football clubs to arrange for players to have a regular CT scan to see if there's been any indications of any deterioration, but also if they have a bad injury to immediately arrange for them to have a CT scan. As much as I realise research has to be done to prove things, from my mind they are all prevaricating, probably because of the financial implications. But if they don't do it soon, it will be too late for a lot of the guys.
Watson's there, and another one!
Wallop! And Dave Watson will remember that one for some time to come.
When is it? Tomorrow?
It's a week on Sunday. Dave's been invited to go to watch the Ireland game. So it's special because it could be the last one. And that's how we have to embrace it.
Wembley's a good place for you, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I've never lost here yet, so that's a nice omen, you know.
Thursday, David.
Yeah, I couldn't walk Thursday hardly. A miracle treatment from the physiotherapist and the doc, and a bit of advice from my wife. And
what advice from your wife did you get?
Keep taking the tablets.
I'm very proud of you. Are you proud of yourself?
I'm proud of my...
Your career?
Career, yeah.
And our thanks to Dave and Penny arriving at Wembley here today for letting our cameras into their home to tell their story. It's going to be an emotional moment for the family today. Dave invited along as a special guest of honour to receive his legacy cap, how richly deserved, back where it all began for him in 1974. Well, as Penny Watson said, they are funding a claim of industrial injury against the government, suggesting Dave's condition was caused in his workplace through heading of football and the concussions he suffered. They aim to set a legal precedent and improve financial aid to former players. Now, a spokesman for the Department of Work and Pensions said they did not wish to comment on an individual case, but they did say this: the Industrial Injuries Advisory Council, that's an independent body who advises the department, is carefully considering any connection between neurodegenerative diseases and the possible effects of playing some professional sports. The FA declined an interview but gave us this statement: we continue to take a leading role in reviewing and improving the safety of our game. This includes investing in and supporting multiple projects in order to gain a greater understanding of this area through objective, robust and thorough research. We have already taken many proactive steps to review and address potential risk factors which may be associated with football, whilst ongoing research continues in this area, including liaising with the international governing bodies. Important to state, as Penny said there is as yet no conclusive medical proof of the link between football and what they call CTE, that's chronic traumatic encephalopathy, a neurodegenerative disease associated with repetitive head impacts. But the Watson family and their consultant believe it to be the case due to concussions and heading the ball. I'm not going to ask you to comment on that. That's scientific. I'm just asking you to react emotionally to what you saw.
Well, what I saw is a woman who's obviously gone through a massive amount of emotional trauma in respects of what she's seen her husband do, or how her husband is ending up coming off of being a very successful footballer in my eyes. I remember watching him from many years at England in the 70s, and he was always there. The saddest thing for me is, again, that they will do anything to continue to push it into that long grass with all those fancy words and what they're doing, FA not speaking, but giving you that statement with all those words in it. And you're thinking to yourself, you just need to watch that to see, like she said, you know, he never had any traumatic injuries, never in a car crash. But the football has contributed to him being how he is today. And that, for me, is the saddest thing about this.
Yeah, very, very powerful. And players like Dave Watson, if we talk about heading the ball, they did head the ball. You know, centre-halves back in the day when obviously a lot of battles every week and in training, and it's obviously took its toll, and your eyes don't lie to you, whatever about the evidence. We're looking at a player who's suffering. And we've heard over the last few years, there's a lot of, I suppose, teams like in American football, the NFL, there's funds set up for players. I know there's a lot going on with rugby now and rugby league. These ex-players, maybe the players back from the 60s and 70s, I always feel they're almost forgotten about it a little bit, as if everyone just remembers the Premiership and the glory of the last 20 years. But surely there's got to be something set up to help these ex-players and support their families. It has to be done.
I mean, look at the England World Cup winning side. I mean, that tells its story in itself. Research shows footballers are 3.5 times more likely to develop dementia. I don't want to put words in your mouth. Do you feel football is doing enough for these players at the moment?
Probably not. And we all know there's risk to football. If you gave us them warnings when I was 25 or 30 about, and again, we probably didn't head it as much as back in the day the centre-halves were talking about, and I know the balls were heavier and the conditions. You still play the game. There's a risk, I suppose, to every sport, but you've got to try and get more knowledge and help the players. And I agree with a lot of the stuff they were saying, maybe some scans for the players, or when they do get concussed or whatever it might be. But a lot of that then I think comes down to money. And when you think of the money in football, they've got to find the money, whether it be through the FA, the government, the PFA, the LMA, all of them have to come together and just watch that piece and say, listen, we've got to do something to help these past players. And we have to respect the past players because they're the ones who
led the way, man.
They created the game in many ways that we have today.
And they are forgotten about, unfortunately.
I mean, you have very regular heart checkups for obvious reasons, don't you?
Yeah.
It seem logical to have just as regular CT scans.
It does make sense, and like they said, they're talking about the future generations. We can't have football meant to be, again, the most participated sport in the world. In my opinion, you know, football is the biggest and most supported sport in the world. They should be leading the way, Poogs, for me. We can't have that happen. You know, we're talking about one of the greats, and look how his life set has coming to an end.
But it made some good points about obviously young kids not heading the ball. But the important thing, the kids coming through and the help they're getting. But what about the ex-players?
Yes.
They're the ones who need it now, and hopefully we can all learn lessons from that.
I'll come to the kids in a second. We should say the PFA will point to a brain health fund, and actually Penny Watson mentioned that in there. And the FA say they're investigating in multiple projects to gain an understanding and funding critical services and research to support ex-players. You've been coaching recently, so people watching have got young boys and girls playing. No, under 11s now, no heading. There is a guidance to heading practice on the professional scene. Pro players limited to 10 high-force headers in training. That's a guidance, though.
Right, yeah,
that's quite hard to
of course
police.
It is, because in training, of course, whether you be doing drills, attacking drills, crossing, finishing, or you get lads doing defending or set pieces, you're saying restricted to 10 headers in training.
How'd you do that?
It's to me, I know, listen...
The ball's lighter as well, Roy.
The game has changed,
quicker.
and a lot more players now. A lot of the football is played on maybe, as I say, on the grass. It's not maybe as much of an aerial game, but you're still heading the ball, and there's still surely that trauma that players are going through.
What we're saying is this conversation needs to be amplified. It needs to be happening more often.
And stop doing that thing where everybody's... Because it will come down to money and compensation. Doing everything you can to let people like Penny Watson have to jump through hoops to try and get compensation. When she knows and her family knows. I suppose you've got a family member who wants to get into football. Is she happy with that? The fact is, these people they don't need to be jumping through those hoops, Poogs, to try and get the compensation. It feels like everything they do, they've got to go again. Sorry, Poogs.
No, that's fine. It's a passionate subject, understandably so. Well, thanks again to Dave and to Penny. And as we've been saying, it's crucially important that the debate goes on and that ex-players like Dave get all the help and all the support they need.